I said to myself, "Come now, I will make a test of pleasure. Enjoy yourself." But again, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, "It is mad," and I said of pleasure, "What use is it?" I searched with my mind how to cheer my body with wine. My mind still guided me with wisdom, and how to lay hold of folly until I might see what was good for mortals to do under heaven during the few days of their lives. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. I also had great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasures of kings and of provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and delights of the flesh, and made concubines, and many concubines, So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. All my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I had spent in doing it, and again all was vanity, and a chasing after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. There are some things in that passage that Christians typically like to gloss over. One is to speak of the reality that whoever the author was owned slaves. Now, I've heard backflips done by people over the years that biblical slavery is not the same as American slavery, what happened in America. The fact of the matter is, regardless of how brutal or not brutal it was owning someone else. So let's not gloss over that. Let's also not gloss over another part. This passage talks about sex, and Ecclesiastes will talk about it in a number of places. You don't have concubines just for them to sit and look pretty on a pillow. Sorry if I just dashed your preconceived notions of Scripture. In all those cases, I think many of us would argue, at least as Christians, that whoever Koheleth is would probably not be a person that many people would want in their churches. This person had no problem having concubines or slaves, had no problem indulging in passionate pursuits. And guess what? It was good. How did I get that? Verse 10, "Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil." In other words, everything the author did, building homes, building vineyards and gardens, which gardens are a sign of wealth in the ancient Near East in particular. It's a desert, arid region, and to have a very large, very prosperous garden took work, took a lot of work. All of these things this author did and enjoyed it. Enjoying it isn't the problem, because in verse 11 it says, "Then I considered all that my hands had done and the toil I had spent in doing it, and again all was vanity and a chasing after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun." This isn't a reflection that you see pursuits of pleasure are bad and evil. That is not what's being said here. It's one of those scenarios that the author is sitting there. So imagine it this way. You buy a home, you fix up your home, you do all sorts of work to it, you pay off your home. And you sit there looking at all the good things around you and you realize that someday someone else will own this. Okay? It's a vanity. It's a chasing after the wind. It is only yours for a time. The pleasure, in this case, the pleasure that that the author was dealing with, is a reflection on a moment of time. And the pleasure in and of itself isn't bad. It's realizing that if that is all that the author chases after, that it's not worthwhile either. What are the things in your life that you are going to pass on to someone else? And why are you passing those things on? Now, this can be a literal item, a home, a piece of jewelry, or it could be something less tangible, I should say. My sense of honesty and my sense of desire for education, whatever the case might be. I want to pass that on to my kids or my grandkids. What is it that gives you pleasure, but you realize that you are passing off to someone else? The reason for reflecting on this is I think we should treat things differently if we know we are only momentary stewards of it. What's your legacy?